9 out of 10. Mercedes buyers assume every model is built the same. Some of them spend years paying for that mistake. Today I'll show you 7 Mercedes models. 3 you run from, and 4 you buy with complete confidence. Worst number 1 has air suspension and transmission bills that hit $9,000 inside the first year. Best number 1 has been quietly hitting 210,000 miles on $240 repair bills, and still makes every other luxury car at its price point look ordinary. This isn't opinion, this is ownership data. Let's start with the worst. Worst number 3. The Mercedes-Benz ML350W166. We start with the SUV that looked like a dream and drove like a liability. The W166 generation ML350 ran from 2012 to 2015. It was sold as the sophisticated family SUV, comfortable, capable, and prestigious. And for the first 30,000 miles, it delivered on every promise. Then it started delivering bills. This is the Mercedes that mechanics and independent shops dread seeing pull into the lot. Not because it is complicated to fix, but because it is complicated in ways that should never have made it past the engineering department. The W166 came standard with airmatic air suspension on most trim levels. In theory, this gives you a comfortable, adjustable ride. In practice, the compressor runs constantly to compensate for slow leaks in the air struts. The compressor burns itself out. Then the struts fail. Then the height sensors throw error codes. The full system replacement runs between $4,000 and $7,000. And it does not fail once. It fails progressively, one corner at a time, over the course of 2 years. The fix that owners eventually arrive at is a passive spring conversion kit, which runs about $800 and turns the car into what it should have been from the beginning. The electrical system is where owners truly lose the will to continue. The W166 has a control module for nearly every function: the transmission control module, the suspension control module, the blind spot monitoring module. Each module communicates through a CAN bus network. When one module develops a fault, it sends corrupted signals to every other module on the network. You end up with a car that throws 12 warning lights simultaneously, none of which individually explain the root cause. Diagnosing this properly requires dealer-level star diagnostic equipment. An independent mechanic with a generic OBD reader will not find it. Every dealership visit starts at $175 per hour for diagnostic time before they even identify the problem. Stay away from this generation entirely. If you need an ML, skip to the W163 generation from 2002 to 2005. That older, simpler truck will outlast the complicated one by a decade. This is not a bad SUV. This is a good idea ruined by unnecessary complexity. And up next is the most technically complex vehicle Mercedes has ever mass-produced. Worst number 2. The Mercedes-Benz S-Class W221. The W221 S-Class ran from 2006 to 2013. It is the car that made executives feel powerful, valets feel important, and mechanics feel wealthy. Every feature that Mercedes could engineer into a production car is present in this generation. Active body control, suspension, Distronic adaptive cruise, airmatic air, suspension, magic body control, night vision, keyless go, massage seats. All of it controlled by a web of interconnected modules so complex that even Mercedes trained technicians disagree on diagnostic procedures. The active body control suspension is the crown jewel of the W221's engineering and the crown jewel of its failure modes. The ABC system uses hydraulic struts at all 4 corners to eliminate body roll entirely. The ride is genuinely unlike anything else on the road, and when it works, you feel like you're riding on a cloud at $200,000. When it fails, you're looking at $3,000 to $8,000 per axle for strut replacement. The hydraulic pump that feeds the entire system costs $1,200 for the part alone. The reservoir seals leak, the fluid lines crack with age. And unlike passive suspension, there is no simple spring conversion that preserves the car's structural integrity. The engine options bring their own challenges. The 5.5-liter V8 biturbo produces 517 horsepower and 479 foot-pounds of torque. It is an extraordinary engine. It is also an engine with twin turbochargers bolted to a complex direct injection system with variable valve timing on all 4 camshafts, sitting in an engine base so tightly packaged that replacing the rear spark plugs requires removing the intake manifold. The twin turbos themselves can fail past 100,000 miles. Replacement runs $2,000 to $4,000 per turbo. Both usually fail within 20,000 miles of each other. This is not a car you own. This is a system you maintain, and eventually it maintains your bank account down to zero. The W221 is the car you buy when you want to understand what the phrase ownership cost truly means. If you want an S-Class, wait for our #1 pick on the best list. It will change the way you think about what a Mercedes can be. If you have gotten this far, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Worst number 1. The Mercedes-Benz C-Class W203. This is the one that hurts the most. The W203 C-Class ran from 2000 to 2007. It is the Mercedes that millions of people buy as their first luxury car. It is attainable, it looks like a proper Mercedes, it carries the badge, and at $30,000 to $50,000 on the used market in its prime, it felt like an accessible entry into the brand. Then the SRS warning light comes on. Then the transmission starts slipping. Then the sunroof stops closing. Then the check engine light arrives and does not leave. The 5-speed automatic transmission on the W203 is the single biggest financial trap in the Mercedes used car market. The unit is controlled by a transmission control module that is mounted directly on the transmission body. This location exposes it to constant heat cycling from the transmission fluid. Over time, the solder joints inside the module crack. The transmission begins to slip, jerk, and eventually refuses to engage gears. A new TCM from Mercedes costs $1,800. A remanufactured unit runs $800 to $1,200. But installing it requires reprogramming with star diagnostic equipment that only a dealer or specialist shop possesses. The total repair cost is $2,000 to $3,000 on a car worth $5,000. Owners frequently make the choice to walk away from the car entirely. The sunroof drain channels are the final insult. The W203 panoramic sunroof has 4 drain channels that route water away from the seal. These channels clog with debris over time. When they clog, water backs up and enters the cabin through the headliner, dripping directly onto the front seat occupants and soaking the carpet. Mold follows within weeks. A professional sunroof drain cleaning and interior mold remediation runs $800 to $2,000 depending on the severity. The W203 did not just disappoint owners, it taught them to never buy a Mercedes again. There is no year within this generation that escapes its fundamental flaws. If those were the cars that break people, these are the ones that restore your faith in the badge. Best number 4. The Mercedes-Benz E-Class W. To how 10 estate the W to a 210 E-Class wagon ran from 1996 to 2003. And before you dismiss it for being old, understand what old means on a Mercedes from this era. It means simple, it means mechanical, it means a car built before every function was handed to a control module. This is what Mercedes used to build before accountants got involved. The best years to target are 2000 to 2003. By 2000, Mercedes had resolved the notorious rust issues that plagued the 1996 to 1999 models. The rear subframe rust problem on early W210s was severe enough to cause structural failure. From 2000 onward, the protective coatings were improved significantly. The engine you want is the 3.2-liter M112 V6 paired with the 5-speed automatic. This engine is a pre-direct injection, pre-turbo, naturally aspirated masterpiece. It does not try to be clever. It produces 221 horsepower, which is exactly enough to carry a family and their luggage across a continent without complaint. Mechanics love it because there is room to work. The engine bay of the W210 is a relic from an era when engineers assumed someone might actually need to reach the components. The oil filter is on top. The coolant reservoir is clearly labeled. Nothing requires a borescope to inspect. This is the wagon for the person who wants to carry 7 people, a dog, and a week of luggage across a mountain range without worrying about what happens if something breaks, because something simple will break, and it will cost almost nothing to fix. Find clean examples for $4,000 to $9,000. It is one of the most undervalued vehicles in the used market. Best number 3. The Mercedes-Benz E350 W211. This is the sweet spot of the entire Mercedes lineup. The W211 E350 ran from 2003 to 2009. It is modern enough to feel contemporary inside, simple enough to be maintained without a dealer, and built with a powertrain so proven that it has become the benchmark for how a luxury sedan engine should behave. This is the car people think they are buying when they walk into a Mercedes dealership today. They are not getting this. They are getting the complicated version. The best years to target are 2006 to 2009. The early 2003 and 2004 models had issues with the rear subframe mounting points, cracking on higher mileage examples. Mercedes issued a technical service bulletin but never a formal recall. From 2006 onward, the mounting design was revised and the problem disappeared. Avoid the 4MATIC all-wheel drive models if you are on a strict budget. The transfer case and front differential add complexity and cost. The rear-wheel drive model is simpler, lighter, and the better choice for reliability. Under the hood is the 3.5-liter M272 V6 paired with the 7-speed 7 G-tronic automatic. This engine produces 268 horsepower with a naturalness that turbocharged engines simply cannot replicate. It breathes freely, it revs cleanly. At highway speeds, it barely registers effort. Mechanics like it because it is a naturally aspirated engine in an era increasingly dominated by forced induction. No turbos to fail, no intercoolers to crack. The timing is handled by a chain on the front of the engine behind an accessible cover. The driving experience of the W211 is precisely what a luxury sedan should be. The suspension is firm enough to feel planted and soft enough to absorb imperfections without comment. At 80 miles per hour, the cabin is nearly silent. The leather ages gracefully. The wood trim does not crack. Weak points include the balance shaft module on the M272 engine. The balance shaft sprocket is made of a composite material that can crack and shed debris into the timing chain system past 100,000 miles. The fix is a balance shaft replacement running $1,200 to $2,000. Buy one that has already had this done, and you eliminate the concern entirely. The rear air suspension on Airmatic-equipped models carries the same progressive failure pattern as any Mercedes air system. If budget is the priority, find a passive suspension model. They exist, and they are the smarter buy. Finally, the panoramic sunroof frame seal can leak at the rear corners past 150,000 miles. A professional reseal runs $300 to $500 and solves it permanently. A well-maintained M272 will reach 250,000 miles without significant internal work. Find clean examples for $7,000 to $13,000. This is the Mercedes that rewards the buyer who did their research. Best number 2, the Mercedes-Benz SL 500R230. Most people think of the SL as a rich person's toy, a weekend car, something that lives in a garage and comes out twice a year. This is not a toy. This is a grand tourer hiding in plain sight. The R230 ran from 2001 to 2011. The years to target are 2003 to 2006. By 2003, Mercedes had resolved early electrical calibration issues from the launch year. The 2007 and newer models introduced the updated 7 G-tronic transmission paired with a revised ABC suspension that, while improved, added another layer of complexity. Avoid any example with the active body control suspension showing fault codes. The ABC system on the R230 is the same hydraulic active suspension used in the S-Class W221. When it works, the car is extraordinary. When it begins to fail, the costs are identical to the S-Class. Decide before you buy whether you're prepared for that commitment. The engine you want is the 5.0-liter M113 V8 in the SL 500. This engine is the last of the great pre-direct injection, pre-turbo Mercedes 5.8s. It is a naturally aspirated single overhead cam engine producing 302 horsepower. It uses a timing chain. It is the engine that Mercedes built when longevity was still part of the engineering brief. Mechanics who know Mercedes treat the M113 with genuine respect. The architecture is conventional. The failure modes are known and affordable. A water pump replacement runs $300 to $500. A thermostat costs $60. These are not exotic repairs. The driving experience is unlike any other car on this list. The retractable hardtop folds away in 16 seconds with the push of a button. At speed with the top down, the windscreen deflector up, and the M113 V8 singing at 4,000 revolutions per minute, there is genuinely nothing else like it at this price. The main weak point is the retractable hardtop hydraulic system. The roof is operated by a hydraulic pump and a series of actuating cylinders. The hydraulic fluid degrades with age and the cylinders can develop slow leaks. A full hydraulic fluid flush and cylinder reseal runs $800 to $1,500. Do not ignore slow roof operation. Address it before it becomes a complete failure. The front strut mounts also wear and cause a knocking noise over rough pavement. Replacement runs $400 to $600 per side. Clean examples with documented service history run $12,000 to $22,000. You are buying a retractable hardtop Grand Tourer with a proven V8 for the price of a new economy sedan. Best number 1, the Mercedes-Benz E-Class W212 Diesel. Here is the truth nobody in the Mercedes community wants to admit. The best Mercedes you can own is not a V8. It is not an AMG. It is not a flagship. It is a 4-cylinder diesel E-Class from 2009 to 2016, and it will quietly outlive every other car on this list. This is the Mercedes nobody talks about, and the one that refuses to die. The W212 E2L20 CDI is sold as the sensible choice, the fleet car, the taxi. In Germany, Turkey, and South Africa, it is bought by taxi companies, driven 300,000 kilometers, maintained on a schedule, and then sold still running. In America, it is barely known, and that is exactly why you should buy one. The best years to target are 2011 to 2015. The 2009 and 2010 early production models had some minor injection system calibration issues that were resolved by software updates. From 2011 onward, the engine is settled, proven, and magnificent. Avoid the BlueTech diesel models with over 150,000 miles and no documented diesel particulate filter service. The DPF requires periodic regeneration cycles to burn off accumulated soot. If the previous owner drove exclusively short distances, the regeneration cycles never completed and the filter became blocked. A blocked DPF replacement runs $1,200 to $2,000. Under the hood is the 2.1-liter Wagon OM651 4-cylinder diesel paired with the 7-speed 7G-tronic automatic. This engine produces 195 horsepower and 369 foot-pounds of torque. That torque figure is the key. From 1,500 revolutions per minute, the engine pulls with an authority that shames larger naturally aspirated petrol engines. Fuel economy is between 38 and 45 miles per gallon in real-world driving. Fill the tank once a week and forget about the fuel station for the next 5 days. Mechanics who know diesel Mercedes engines treat the OM651 with deep respect. The block is cast iron, not aluminum, not composite. Cast iron, which means thermal expansion is predictable. Tolerances remain consistent over hundreds of thousands of miles, and wear occurs at a rate that makes the engine's longevity almost difficult to believe. The driving character is understated and completely confidence-inspiring. The diesel torque makes city driving effortless. The 7-speed transmission shifts with a smoothness that belies the engine's utilitarian origins. At motorway speeds, the cabin is as quiet as any petrol E-Class. Weak points include the injector sealing washers. Over time, the copper washers that seal each injector to the cylinder head can allow combustion gases to bypass, causing a ticking noise and eventually a misfire. The job runs $400 to $700 at an independent diesel specialist. The EGR valve can carbon up past 120,000 miles, causing rough idle and a reduction in power. A professional EGR clean costs about $200. A replacement valve runs $300 to $500 if the cleaning does not restore function. The glow plug should be replaced as a preventive service every 80,000 miles. The job runs about $300 for all 4 at an independent shop. At 200,000 miles, this engine is not worn out, it is just getting comfortable. I know a man called Diesel David. He bought a 2012 E220 CDI with 140,000 miles for $11,000 4 years ago. He drives 220 miles every working day. The car now has 310,000 miles. His unplanned repairs, 1 EGR valve, and 1 set of injector washers. He has spent less on repairs in 4 years than most W203 C-Class owners spend in 4 months. He says the car is so dependably boring that he has forgotten what car anxiety feels like. He considers this the highest compliment a vehicle can receive. Find clean examples for $10,000 to $18,000. You're buying a cast iron diesel engine, a proven 7-speed transmission, and a genuinely luxurious cabin for the price of a mid-range crossover. Click on the next video. We are breaking down the exact pre-purchase inspection checklist you need before buying any used European luxury car. The 7 checks that dealers hope you skip and private sellers pray you forget. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drive something that earns your money, not something that demands more of it. I'll see you in the next one.